Hi, and welcome to the Who Changed My Project Classification webinar. Tracking changes of classifications in Oracle projects with the Quantas classification tracker. My name is Andy Fry. I'm an Oracle projects consultant. I work for Quantas Consulting. I have over 17 years of consulting experience, primarily in the Oracle project suite. I've worked for various companies in a variety of industries, including utilities, pipelines, engineering, construction, oil and gas, professional services. So the overview of the presentation, we're going to discuss the problem that we're trying to resolve. We'll discuss the problem that has been resolved, how we've resolved the problem. We'll discuss terminology. We'll demonstrate the features of tracking changes of classifications, the online query tool for showing the changes, tracking the deletion of changes of classifications and class codes, the online query tool to show and report on that, as well as the project classification audit trail report. We'll wrap up the meeting with the contact information. So the problem we're trying to solve is Oracle Projects does not have an out-of-the-box method to track classification changes. So classifications can be changed by any user that has the update function to classifications on a project. So what some companies have done is they've put personalizations in place or menu exclusions and controls in place to prevent people from changing that. But sometimes people need to change, users need to change classifications, and those changes need to be tracked. The class categories and class codes, which is the classifications, they're many times critical pieces of information and characteristics and attributes on a project. They're used for auto accounting and SLA rules, reporting, sorting, identification of the projects. So any changes can have adverse effects on project-related organizations. For instance, if somebody's driving auto accounting off of the class code and that class code is changed, the segment driven by that class code, of course, will change. Also, any legitimate classification changes may need to be tracked. So an example of that would be where a project is being reported under one group for a particular, maybe a quarter or a month, and then changes to another group. Those changes can be tracked so we know why, when we do a mass report, why those projects now are not falling into one classification versus another. So how this has been resolved, a method exists to track the classification changes, and that's the Quantas classification tracker. The method will record the addition, change, or deletion of a classification on a project, as well as who made the change, and that will be by Oracle user ID. The time and date of the change is tracked, and it keeps a history of all the changes, as well as the attributes or percentages if those have been changed. A report is available to share with non-Oracle project users, or if a user just wants to produce a report to view the history of the classifications on their project. An online query tool is also available to be able to query across projects or for a particular project. So the terminology. So classification is the combination of class category and class code on a project in Oracle projects. A report is an output produced by the concurrent manager in Oracle projects, or Oracle at all. A form is a screen in Oracle. PA is Oracle projects, and a DFF is a descriptive flex field, which is an additional field that can be added to Oracle forms. So changing a class code on a project. We access the project and the classification screen under the options. And when we open that up, we can see that there's a lot of different classifications on our example here. So out of the box, Oracle standard functionality. We could remove any of these values that are on the project, and they would not be tracked. We could change them. We wouldn't know what it was changed from. So what we're going to show is our ability to track that. So when I choose Tools, Change History, what will happen is we'll open up a screen called Summary Change History. And what that shows us is the class category on our project. We can see it was added to our project on December 17th, 2012, up to January 29th, 2014, and it was changed. The class code was changed, and we could identify the class code that was changed to by the full history, and we could see the class codes that it was changed from and to. Also, who changed it, the date it was changed, and the fact that it's effective, which means that it's the active value on our project. There are additional fields that are available, which are I'll point out the DFFs especially, because if you're tracking information in the descriptive flex fields on our class codes, they will show up in this screen. I'm going to go back to my project, and I'm going to change my value on my region to Calgary. I come back in here, and you can see it identified that Andy Fry changed the value and what it's changed to and what it was changed from and the date it was changed. So I'm going to go back, change it back to NA. Now this could be a situation where I thought it should have, I accidentally made a mistake. I picked the wrong classification. I picked the wrong project, so I'm going to change the value back. And now the value is identified. Class code is now NA. It's the effective. It was Calgary. I'm going to point this out because this is important, especially for auto accounting or for reporting purposes, where let's say this is a day. We only had this changed within a minute, but let's say it's a day that the value was Calgary. If we're driving auto accounting off of that value and auto accounting ran when the incorrect value was there, of course the segments that are driven from that class code are going to be incorrect. It's going to be driven off of the incorrect value. So anybody who has troubleshooted these types of issues would know that it's very difficult when the value was NA, it changed for a small amount of time, and the value is still NA. For us to say, okay, auto accounting isn't broken, the value was changed for a small amount of time while auto accounting ran. This really helps with troubleshooting. Reporting also, if a report was generated in that time, why the report has a different value. So for those who have had to do those types of troubleshooting, this is really, really a helpful tool. And then we've got the project classification change history window. What this screen does is we can run and view the changes based on different parameters. So we've got our project type class. We can run it by capital, contract, or indirect. Project type, I'm going to do it by project number, but we could do it by a combination of them where I'm going to pull out everything that's capital with a particular classification. So there's different ways of being able to query up the changes that occurred in PA. So here I pulled by my project, and you can see the class categories, the effective dates, who they were changed by, and if I go down to my full history, you can see the class codes that are on the project and if they were changed, who they were changed by, which ones are effective, etc. So it's a really good screen to be able to go in and see in mass either a project or groupings of project types, classifications, etc. We're going to get into now on the deleting of a classification on a project. So here I'm going to use the reporting unit, which is here Edmonton. I go into my summary change history screen, and we can see it's recorded that the reporting unit is there, and in the full history screen Edmonton is identified. I go back and you can see the classification has been deleted. Again, standard out of the box Oracle. I would delete this record. I would not know that that record ever existed on that project, and if it was accidental, I didn't know what it was. It's going to be a real challenge to figure out what that value was. So because the class category is gone, we need to go back to our classification change history screen to query up what deleted records have been recorded. So I put my project number in, I choose deleted records just to limit the query, and we could see that the class category of reporting unit was deleted when it was deleted. The changed name is actually who added the record, but you can see here the deleted by is me, Andy Fry, and the class code was Edmonton. So if this was accidental, I can go back and add it quite easily, just identifying what the record was, and go back and put it back on. Our reporting capabilities. So the following will show a report to display the changes of classifications. That's the project classification audit trail report. This report can be run by various parameters. I'm going to run it by my project just to limit the amount of records on our report. But we can run it by project class, project type, class category, effective dates, deleted records. There's a variety of things we can run it by to be able to pull out the information that we need. So I run my report for my project. All my class categories show up, and this is both effective and historical information. And what you can see over on the right is our DFF information shows up on our report. So again, if I'm changing or I have DFF information on my classifications, it will show up. My class codes, it will show up. And here we can see on our report the values that I changed earlier. So in summary, the Quantas classification tracker will record all additions, changes, deletions of project classifications. It'll stamp those changes with the user ID who made the change, as well as the date and time. It'll record all the attributes that have been changed, and we're able to report on the history of the changes through the query screen, the online query screen, as well as the report. And what this does is it really provides the Oracle Projects users with the ability to know what changes were made so that they can better manage and administer their projects and really better troubleshoot those changes. It also better allows them to report to the responsible parties on what is occurring, especially on those reporting attributes. So you have questions or you want to contact me, you can contact me at the information on this screen. If you have other articles that you want to review, you can review those. We have another tool that allows the update of classifications en masse, which allows users to upload, update, delete classifications or class codes on projects in large quantities all at once in a mass push. So you can check that out if you're interested in that, or just contact me with whatever information or questions you have. Thank you for your time, and I hope you all have a great day.